Okay guys, here is my new bike. This is a NC750X and I just got it. I got it from a subscriber. Thank you, Andre, for giving me a really nice deal on this. I've been very curious about the NC750. As you guys know, I've had two of the older versions, the 700X. This is the NC750X. NC stands for New Concept from Honda, and there's very good reasons why people should really like this bike. But in the United States, this bike is not really admired as much as it should. But if you go to the rest of the world, especially Europe, this is absolutely everywhere. Along with the Honda PCXs, people really admire these bikes, and for good reason. So, if you don't know much about these are extremely fuel efficient motorcycles. Actually, the closest thing to a motorcycle that gets this sort of gas mileage is the Kawasaki Ninja 300s and 250s. And I had a couple of those. They get actually worse gas mileage than this, which is hard to believe. So let's look around because, this bike is pretty interesting. And it feels. So let's look around. I just want to do like a initial video, then I'll do a more in-depth video on this bike. But like this bike, the new concept from Honda is interesting, and I think most of the time they just want to showcase this Frunk. Very handy to have. This one has got the saddlebags. You don't really need saddlebags if you're commuting because this is quite deep. It's a big, cavernous holder that actually you can put a full-size helmet in here. It's recessed here in the top, and on this one you have this plastic thing here that you could use to strap various things, including a tank bag. And to open it, it's pretty simple. You take the key and you turn it to the right. That pops up. You turn this to the left, and the seat pops up, and there's the gas cap. And, in a way, that's a brilliant thing. I like the front much more. As you know, I had a CTX 700. It had none of the quirkiness of this or appeal. That bike, I thought it was like the biggest miss from Honda. This one, people won't like it because of the engine. And I have to, disagree. You don't get this because the engine is overly powerful. It's not a powerful bike. It's not meant for that. This is meant for is getting really good gas mileage out of a 750. These, you can see them all over in Europe with over 100,000 kilometers. It's quite standard. You have a lazy engine that feels like a diesel, and it does feel peppier than the 700. And that's the appeal. You keep the revs really low, and the MPGs follow that. It gets great gas mileage, like 70 miles to the gallon. And another great appeal of this is the ability to do home maintenance yourself. Some of these bikes, if you look at my FJR, it's easy to maintain, and it's a 2007. But if you have to adjust the valves on this, it is a pain in the ass. And this is easier. The Goldwing, still difficult. This is easy, but this one is also easy. If you look at that radiator, this kind of pops out, and that's the head of the motor. Easy to get to. This is a twin cylinder, and it feels very different than the standard twin cylinders that you have on the market, like a CB500X. And I kind of wish that Honda did a couple of things different. It's not perfect, but the thing that I wish it had, both of it is 17-inch wheels. I wish it was a 19-inch front wheel, because this is supposed to be like an ADV styled commuter. So I understand the 17-inch tire appeal, but I think the 19-inch would suit it very well. And because it's a new concept, I feel that Honda missed out a little bit, but not putting a shaft drive on it. It's already like a low horsepower bike, but if you're making it easy on riders, put a belt drive or a shaft drive in there. I know that chains are cheap to manufacture, and that's the reason a lot of these, they all have chains. But look at the NT700V, the Deauville, shaft drive 700 cc's. They could have done something more similar to that and then mated it to this engine. And this engine is very unique. As I said, if you get a Honda CB500X, a Versys from Kawasaki, the engine is like much more upright. The way it behaves is differently, and it feels much more motorcycle-like than this. When you ride this, it feels like it's a diesel bike because it revs so low and the torque is available right off from idle. So that makes commuting really easy. You're always on the power band, but that also means that you can't really rev it very high. It's a low revving bike. That's why it gets great MPGs. This one comes with a Corbin seat, and that's a pretty expensive item. It does have the saddlebags, which are kind of narrow, so they're not as wide as the ADV styled. It doesn't have the top rack, and I kind of need a top rack, but this one you need to have a specialized top rack because you cannot hide this as it's the gas tank. I actually think that's a bad design, and in my previous videos I actually told you guys they should take a page from BMW and just put the filler on the side. I don't really care too much about the seat. It would be nice to have the option, if they did move the gas cap to the side, to have this as a platform so you can carry stuff. That would be a little bit more useful. If they're going to go with the new concept design, why not have that? This one, it's got aftermarket foot pegs. Look at that. And then you can like adjust. It's got like adjustability, and it's got like nice foam. So if you're riding on the road, you're not going to feel any vibration from the foot pegs. This bike is very steady. It doesn't have a lot of vibrations anyway. And yeah, 17-inch front wheels and rear. The shocks are conventional, very easy to like remove everything. You don't have to remove any plastic even to get to the forks. There's very few bikes nowadays that are easy to maintain yourself, and this is probably like one of the last examples. And I watched quite a few videos on this bike. Most people love it, but the problem is, like, if you are into the adventure market, you probably want something a little bit with more pizzazz, and this is not it. Like, to appreciate this bike, you have to appreciate the way it behaves, the consumption of gas, which is not something that motorcycles that use bikes for fun tend to do. And let me look at the handlebars here. Nice mirrors, everything's like nice about it, very clean. You have the key. This one uses that Honda ignition thing, so never lose your key. It's got heated grips. It's got a hazards button, turn signals, start, kill switch, pretty standard. And then you have a Magstad windscreen. I kind of wish it was a clear one, because I kind of find myself kind of trying to peek over the windscreen. But look at the dash. It's completely different than the NC700. The clock is visible even when it's off. When you turn it on, there's a little animation with different colors. It's very Honda. And it's very simple, just two buttons. It starts right up and it sounds exactly like a Honda, except this engine is not like the type of engine that will strike fear upon people that see you go by. It's not meant for that. It's a stealth bike. But look at that front. It's completely redesigned. Honda did listen to the complaints from the NC700. The NC700, you can buy that all day for $3,000, $4,000. This one, it's gotten a little bit more. It's much more expensive because people do realize that the 750 is better. It's just so quiet. This is what you want, like if you want to commute on. It's brilliant. It really is one of those brilliant bikes for commuters. And you do have trip 70 miles to the gallon. You have a couple of trips, average. I like that they're putting the average stuff on there. You have your fuel, you have a gear indicator, you have a tachometer on the top. It's like colorful. You have your speedometer. It's all digital. I like that it's small. And the seating position on it, I can't exactly flat foot it, but it's upright, it's comfortable, ergonomics are right. It does have a riser to the handlebar, but the way you sit on it is just really comfy, and the seat from Corbin makes it much more comfortable. And it sounds pretty good. You know, for a parallel twin, they're not really known for sounding great, but it does sound pretty decent. And this one also has a center stand, which is a must if you want to do your own maintenance, and it's very easy to put it on. It's already found its idle adjusted. It just takes a little bit of time. There we go. There's the Frunk. So it's just so easy to live with, and I just wanted to do a little bit of a viewing of it. I'll be doing a couple rides on it so you guys can see how it rides. It also has this. It keeps the wind from your hands and just diverts some of the turbulence. But yeah, the windscreen is overkill. Mad stat. These are, I had it on my V-Strom and it was so good. No need for an electric windscreen when you can just have this. I actually prefer these manual adjusted windscreens rather than the electronic ones. Once you have electronic ones, it's nicer, but the complexity is not worth it. The beauty of this bike is its simplicity. It really is a brilliant bike. And let me just put the CRF next to it so you guys can see. But very bland styling compared to this. If Honda was to make that 19-inch front wheel, shaft drive, I think it would be more popular. I don't know. In the United States, that's not a popular bike at all. But I don't really care. I mean, you get this because you appreciate simplicity, and that's what it is. Thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.